Well guys, I'm going to try to finish this part of the video as quickly as possible because I think it's going to rain any second. I've been hearing thunder. The clouds are getting more dark. The wind is starting to blow more. So I think you can probably see the leaves starting to blow back there. We're going to get rain here any minute now. It's supposed to actually rain through most of this week, starting this afternoon. Acorns are falling right now, so you can probably hear. That's what this video is about acorns. It's amazing that so many prepping channels completely ignore acorns. Acorns are a great food source if you're trying to survive or even save money, but they're not really talked about. We see prepping channels going to the grocery store, picking up things to stockpile and talking about food processing and cooking and recipes and things on different channels, but I haven't really saw any on how to use acorns. We'll talk about that here today. I remember the first time that I actually ate acorns. I was about 16 or 17 years old. I was trying to learn wilderness survival, and I had gotten a survival manual, military survival manual, that talked about using acorns for food. So I went out and I gathered those up and I done what I thought I needed to do. And when I ate those, I got really sick. I didn't remove enough of the tannins with the method that they showed. And the method they showed really doesn't work very well, what they showed in the manual. And what they showed in the manual is to take, like your t-shirt, something that water would run through. You get the acorns and you take the outer shell off. You crush those up some with some rocks or whatever you have, and with your knife or whatever, and you put those in your shirt and you bring water to a really hot boil and then dump that over top of those acorns. I did that and I rinsed those off a couple of times, and then I let those dry and I ground those up the best I could in that circumstance, and I tried to eat those and I got a really bad stomach ache because I didn't really do it right. The Native Americans used actually two wild food sources a lot. It was one of the two stable food sources here in this area for the Native Americans, and that was acorns and cattails. Both are easy to find and they're easy to collect, easy to prepare if you know what you're doing. And like I said, they were a staple food for the Native Americans here in this area. They would gather up the acorns and they would use those and grind those into flour, make bread and things. Same thing with cattails, to eat the stalks and the roots. Lots of food out there that unfortunately a lot of people nowadays are completely overlooking and wouldn't have a clue that it's actually something you can actually eat. People will walk on top of acorns, look at acorns, and don't think about actually eating those, because we're in this modern society where you can just go to the store and people think it's going to always be that way, so they completely overlook, acorns. But first, you want to gather up, and in the fall of the year, they start falling off. You'll see those acorns on the ground under the oak trees, and you want to gather up the acorns that look like this right here for the most part. And I left this one here with the top on, little hat, I like to call it, on purpose to show you to take that off. And you want acorns that look like this right here. Nice, fresh, no brown, no rot. And you want to remove this outer shell. You want to take this and put it on a hard surface. You can take and hit this with a rock, a hammer, your knife, or whatever to remove this outer shell because it's kind of hard. And you want to remove that and get down to the meat of the acorn. You don't want to select ones that look like this. As you can see, it's all brown. You don't want that. You want to throw that out. Ones like this right here, that's semi-brown, I throw those out too. I want the ones that are like this, that look really good, really fresh. You can see I've gathered within about 4 minutes here or 5 a bowl full of these. And there's different ways to prepare these, but you want to gather these in the fall, and you want to throw out any brown ones, any ones with bugs and things like that. You want to crust these up. You want to hit these to crust the shell and remove the shell. And then there's 2 different ways to prepare these to be eaten. You want to remove the tannins because they are really bitter and will give you a stomach ache and actually cause a lot of issues as far as survival, like diarrhea, dehydration. You can actually die if you eat too much with the tannins. But it would be probably impossible because it tastes really bad. Sounded like thunder back there. Sounded like a tree fell one. But you want to remove, like I said, get these crusties up, gather these in the file, hit these with the hammer, remove this shell, and put all of these inside of a container. And you want to pour cold water on top of those, let those soak, and that water will turn brown. That brown that you see in the water is your tannins. So you want to dump that water out and refill that again with clean water. And you keep doing that multiple times a day, and this may take 3 or 4 days. You want to gather up more than this. Obviously, you want to gather up all you can to make it as efficient as you possibly can, because you want to have a big pot full of acorns, and you want to keep putting fresh cold water on those. And then when that turns brown, you dump that water out, put more clean water. If that turns brown, dump that out, more clean water. You want to keep doing that until that water is clear. You want to let that set, and when that water is clear and you see no more brown, then they're ready to dry. And you want to take those and lay those out in the sun. You want to put those in the oven at 200 degrees, whichever way you prefer, and let those acorns dry. Then you will take those and put those in a grain grinder and grind those up. You can use those for bread and pancakes and different recipes as a substitute for flour. It can actually be mixed in, with your flour to make that go further. Another way to do this that's quicker, but you might lose some nutritional value, is to do the same thing, get the same type of acorns, gather those up, remove the outer shell, crust those up a little bit, and put those in boiling water. And boil those acorns for about 15 minutes, dump the water out, add more clean water, boil again, dump that water out, add more clean water, boil again, and do that until the water you're putting in doesn't turn brown any longer. It's just as clear as it was when you first put that in there. Then you're ready to go. In the same process, you want to lay those out in the sun, put those in the oven at 200 degrees, and let those dry until you can tell they're dry. And then you want to grind those up in a grinder. Then you can use those for flour. You can use those to bake. You can use those in pancakes and whatever. It's very edible. So that is a good food source, and it just takes a little bit of time. You have to gather it up, remove the tannins, and you can use that to supplement your food storage and to survive if you're lost in the wilderness, if you have a way to build a fire and to do the process with. And if you have a good survival kit, you will be able to do something like this in the wild also. So important to know about the wild eatables in your area. Like acorns, they're everywhere right now. If you can get them away from the squirrels and get them away from the deer, then you're doing good. But you have to get them pretty quickly, because I've seen squirrels out here. This is right in my backyard right here. My house is just right there. And I see squirrels out here all the time gathering these up. I saw a deer here the day before yesterday right here within 10 foot of my house eating these acorns. They don't care about the tannins. But as humans, we have to remove those, because you get a really serious stomach ache if you don't. And like I said, it tastes bad anyway, so it'd be difficult to eat enough to really cause a lot of serious damage, in my opinion, because of the taste. But very good survival food. Hope this helps. If you liked the video, then give it it's down here. Give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate you all being here. Thanks for watching. I'm the Creekmore. I'm out of here, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.